All right. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome to the December 1st Commission for the Arts meeting, and we'll move on to roll call.
Let the record show that all commissioners are present.
Thank you. For those who'd like to, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And special presentations and proclamations.
There are no special presentations and proclamations tonight.
Great. And oral communications.
There are no oral communications, but we do have a speaker that would like to speak to agenda item 8A when we get to that agenda item.
Thank you. I believe there are no changes to the agenda.
No changes to the posted agenda.
So we'll move on to item 7, approval of the minutes from November 3rd meeting. Has everyone had a chance? And
Motion to approve minutes?
okay. Is there a second?
Second to approve. Let the record show that the motion passes with 6 commissioners voting yes and 1 commissioner abstaining.
Thank you. So we'll move on to action items 8, and we'll hear from our speaker.
So the speaker tonight is Rosemary Kimball, and she is speaking with a neutral position on Pacific View. And the second speaker, Frida Turchin, is going to donate her time to Rosemary Kimball. So Rosemary, you may come up to the podium, and you have 6 minutes to address the commission.
I'm Rosemary Kimball. I'm your usual only audience, but today we have more people. Isn't that exciting? I also want to apologize. I did an art date with my husband today to go to the Chieta exhibit at the San Diego Museum of Art instead of honing this speech. And it is really a bunch of ideas and research on feasibilities and things that need happening at Pacific View. And I think if there's anyone that is interested in brainstorming ideas about Pacific View and implementation of the ideas, because ideas just float, and if you can't implement them, nothing happens. So I wanted to get together with someone or an ad hoc or who knows about that more specifically, because what this is that I received from Patricia Fisher at San Diego Visual Arts is some ideas off the top of her head. And so it needs more time and kind of in a crucible. And so think about if anybody wants to meet me, and we'll play with that, because I am also working on some version of a Friends of Pacific View to get money. And I have a couple of people already, and I'm working with that. I even met with Joy, and so that's in the mix. And maybe there's some idea about having a connection with the tourism committee of the city to be able to get a marketing plan that can be implemented to start highlighting the teachers, some of the people that take the classes, and getting articles in the newspapers to start branding Pacific View and stimulate conversation and excitement, and then to further that with taking some of the classes that are appropriate to maybe have exhibits that are from Pacific View and use the venues that we have of here at City Hall and at the library and the community center that we already use for art night, that we can include what happens at Pacific View so that more of the community finds out, hey, we have an art center and things are happening and it's exciting and we want to, people want to be a part of that. I just had lunch with my niece who wants to be a fashion designer, and there are fabric classes and there are sewing classes and things like that, and she's not even aware of it. And she's my niece, but she's 18, and to get an hour with her is really tough. And so, and then there's facility improvements that are needed, like extra bathrooms and storage and parking lot surfaces and stadium seating for outside or events that are outside, zoning changes, electricity for a kiln, streamlining the sign-up process, teacher recruitment, maybe even as part-time staff, so that I personally was thinking, I'm going to be 86 next Tuesday, and I think I can retire and not have to, not teach, but I could teach one class, but I am definitely not going to go in for fingerprinting, find out if I'm a pedophile after I've been teaching for 50 years in this community. It just makes everything kind of boil around me, even imagining that kind of thing. So there's got to be other ways of getting teachers. And you were just in Thailand and teaching some really exciting things, and you've never taught here. And we need to know what's going on. So each one of you has something to add to the mix here. Expansion of courses, identifying target audiences, fashion shows, senior storytelling sessions, and then, like I said before, utilizing other venues for the larger spaces. Streamlining the sign-up process. So many people have tried to sign up online, and then you just get to a stop where you're lost in the internet. I always go in and sign up at the desk because it's just, I don't want to go through all of that. And we need an experienced cultural director that is hired to be the director of Pacific View Arts Center and not someone that is adding on Pacific View to what they already do. I talked for 6 minutes. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary, as always. We do have an ad hoc, and so we'll reach out to you, and we're in the process of brainstorming lots of those. And happy almost birthday.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to 8A, the Encinitas Holiday Parade. And this amazing opportunity to communicate about Pacific View to so many people, and also I think from last month anyway, potentially to support a local band. So I can't wait to hear.
So Jennifer and I are on that ad hoc, and that you're right. That's the latest news. Thanks to Jess and Nicole at the city that there is a truck available for us to use, and a really great sounding band. So it should be really fun. And I want to make sure everybody knows that we are all invited and encouraged to show up and march along with the float. I think Jess mentioned a couple of opportunities to pass out items, and do you mind, maybe you can
Sure.
fill us in a little bit?
Yep, so there's, I have available for you 2 hand carts with some giveaways from Pacific View Arts Centre. So if you're interested to pull them yourselves, or we can try and find volunteers, or perhaps you have volunteers yourself that can come and support you. And we have to hand those items out. They'll have a flyer in that will really promote our open house and some up-and-coming classes as well. So we've got little packs of pencils, some notebooks, tote bags, buttons, just fun stuff. And then also I'd like to invite you, if 2 members of the Commission would like to hold the poles and carry the banner for the Commission for the Arts in front of the vehicle, that would be really well appreciated. So please let me know if 2 of you would care to do that, or again, if you have volunteers that would care to do it, or otherwise we'll attach it to the vehicle somehow.
Thank you. Yeah, so let's make it a party. And we get there early normally to help decorate the, whatever our vehicle is going to be. So even if, you didn't want to stay for the parade, if you wanted to come on down and help out with that aspect of it. And it's really fun. As someone who didn't really grow up going to parades, much less marching in them, it's really a fun community event, and obviously a huge turnout and really festive. So, yeah, it should be a good time.
Yeah, so if you can touch base with us about this band that you mentioned about, what kind of band?
It's a local youth band, a family band called The Longview. They're all age ranges from, I think, 12 to 19, 20. And they're going to play a mix of Christmas and surf music.
And what size is the truck?
I don't have any information on the size of the truck or the vehicle currently, but I will send an all message around to everybody when I have a bit more information. But we will have some banners to promote Pacific View to cover. But yeah, if you want to bring decorations against the theme, that would be great as well. But I'll get more information about the vehicle.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure, because if we, it's the banners for Pacific View, those are going to be in addition to Commission for the Arts banners.
The Commission for the Arts banner should be prominent on the vehicle, and Pacific View will again feature on there somehow. But if you guys wanted to promenade the banner, that is an option. We just need to know, because we'll either create it with poles or without.
Have you guys decided on any decorations? Like I was imagining brown paper covered with paint as far as Pacific View, or, just kind of like over the top so people see that. Yeah. But you guys.
I don't think we haven't gotten down to that level of detail. We haven't really talked about that beyond the banners. I think in past years we've had mostly the banners and the lights, as you know. And yeah, I mean, I think I love that idea. If we would just need to organize to bring some materials, I guess, if people want to paint some additional banners. So happy to do that. Or if there are any other ideas for, sprucing it up.
Well, it depends on what this truck looks like. I mean, is it an open, is it like open in the back, or like a pick? I don't know.
I would imagine it is open. I would imagine it's flatbed, but again, I'm not sure right now. So as soon as I have that information, I'll share it with you.
All right. Is there anyone who knows that they would want to walk with the pole? Jennifer?
If I have a partner.
I'm going to be there, but I don't know if I want to be holding the pole or giving the stuff out.
You want to give stuff about?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun last year.
Yeah,
I really
that was
like
great.
that.
You did great. Yeah.
So, but if there's no one there, then I'll hold the pole. But I prefer to be running around.
You want to be a runner.
Yeah, just not, yeah.
Well, it sounds as though we'll have at least 3 of us.
Okay.
So we'll have, I imagine, 2 of us able to do the polls.
And I will try and have one of my daughters or both of them.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see.
Great.
Yeah.
And I might be able to, so we can have volunteers, right? Come, all right.
Yeah.
I'm going to volunteer my husband, so, to help.
Okay, great. So that is this Saturday.
Yeah.
So everyone get it on the record, December 6th, right? Is that correct? Okay.
Do we meet at the same location we met last year?
There was an email that just sent out today with all those details.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Was there a parking situation if we were able to make it? I remember last year we were offered that we would have a place to park, which would make a big difference. So I know that last year that was an opportunity that we could park at City Hall and there would be spots for us. So is that the case this year?
Yes, there will be spots at City Hall for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's spaces available at City Hall. There's no names on the parking spots. They're there till they're not. But we have VIP area. But like I said, no, there's not names. So, yeah, I wouldn't be late.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I think you probably all got this email, but the parade begins at 5:30. We're going to be there, I'll plan to be there a little after 4 to start checking in and getting things ready. So any time in that window would be great. Yeah.
And I realized I was just going right on down the agenda, but I wanted to, Dave, do you want to hop in and introduce Margaret Hamer, who's sitting here, and Jess is sitting, or we
I would
had
be
that at
honored,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Let me start off, though, if I could, to the parade for a second. Just throwing it out there, the night before the parade is the annual lighting of the tree by Moonlight Beach, and that starts at 4 o'clock. Just want to make sure everyone knew that, too. There'll be plenty of singing at that also. It is my honor to introduce Margaret Hamer. She's our recreation manager, and as we've all know, Colette is not with the Colette Murphy is no longer with the city, and Margaret has stepped in to help us with arts, and is managing that part of our team, and we so appreciate it.
Thank you. My name is Margaret Hamer, and as Dave said, I'm stepping in to help out. I'm not the permanent position, but I have worked in public service and programming and recreation. In most communities, arts is under recreation, and this is a very special city that has arts stand out. But by all means, I have overseen arts programs, promotions, marketing, and really feel that you have a fantastic team with the Pacific View Arts Center and Arts Group, and we're looking forward to expanding and getting the word out in every way we can. So thank you for being a part of that, and also for our members of the public who are also behind those strategies. Thank you.
Well, welcome. I think we can say with confidence that we're really looking forward. We're glad that you're here. We're looking forward to helping out in any way. And I hope you'll use the knowledge and experience that's sitting up here. And if there's anything you want input on or questions for, obviously, shoot them our way. I'll take a second too just to thank Colette Murphy for the years of dedicated work that she gave to the city in her role as arts manager, and she was also on this commission. And so, just a nod and the best of luck to her. With that, we will move on to item 8B and call out the 2-1A, which is I just wanted to give an overview of the joint meeting review that happened last month with City Council. So, I think it's basically a fairly celebratory conversation to have. I want to thank everyone up here for participating and staff again for really doing all of that work for the report, that was a true foundation for a very fruitful discussion with council, with the public. It was a fairly full room here. There were 12 public speakers, and so I just thought I'd take a moment to kind of talk about that. All of the public speakers shared really positive statements about the classes, about the ability to explore topics and skills that they hadn't been able to in the past, how the value of Pacific View should not be assessed by the amount of revenue the center brings in, that the real value is, quote, priceless. They brought up zoning, marketing, and more. And then council really chimed in too, and I thought that was awesome just to hear specifically from each member and kind of get that takeaway. So I'm just going to go through and kind of remind everyone what each council member, and kind of a snippet of what they said. Council member San Antonio spoke about his personal connection to the arts. He comes from a family of painters and sign makers, and he himself has a fine arts degree. He emphasized both that the numbers had to make sense, that the numbers were very important to him, and he finished by saying that, quote, "I am in support of Pacific View and the intrinsic value of the arts in our community." Council member Schaefer spoke about how important it is to get people to the campus. Thought he made some great points about really wanting to make creative uses of the outdoor space to utilize the full campus, putting on more events. He spoke that sometimes you had to spend money to make money, and that the city should be open to that in order to really utilize the space to its full potential. He quoted, I'll quote him by saying that Pacific View is the crown jewel of our city. So there you go. Councilmember O'Hara emphasized Pacific View as a public benefit and a city asset, and he expressed wanting to provide residents and artists alike with the maximum return on investment. He does support naming rights as one avenue of leveraging what can happen there. He doesn't expect Pacific View to pay for itself. None of the council members did, so that was just good to know where we stood on that. And he wants to make sure that the city moves forward with the best way possible to use this asset. And I think he's also asking us to think big. Deputy Mayor Lines emphasized big picture goals and vision as well. She gave a real nod to all the progress that has happened there, and wants the next few years to continue to be learning years. She's very much a yes person and feels that we should no longer be shackled by limitations of permitting. She asked that the commission come back to council with a range of possible options, basically because without a vision of what we're aiming for, it's hard to measure progress. Communication, marketing, she mentioned as key factors, and potentially the role that a Pacific View Friends of the Arts could play in that. And then Mayor Ehlers really applauded the metrics. Quote, "Pacific View is on a trajectory that I would expect. It's really shining," he said. He emphasized that he doesn't look to Pacific View to be a cost center. He looks at it as a public benefit, just like the senior center and the community center. He wants to continue checking in and making adjustments, and wants suggestions of how to make operations better and better. Specifically, he asked for a better understanding of capacity and what's possible from planning department, and there was a little bit of a discussion of potential rezoning. So obviously, they said more than just that. But my takeaway is that they're asking for us to recommend a real vision for Pacific View, and then potentially kind of an immediate intermediary and future steps to grow into that vision. And that is a vision that's built upon all of the incredible work that has happened there and is happening there. So we have an ad hoc, and I think we will work to honor that. So Council has strategic planning workshops in February and March. It's not clear when those are exactly, but I'd say we should aim for a recommendation to go to council either in February or March. Probably March would be the latest if we want them to be able to consider that while they're doing their strategic planning and budgeting planning. And then as far as our January meeting, we'll invite both the new engineering manager and the new communications manager to our meeting to answer questions, which is just a great opportunity to clarify kind of the meat of any steps that the city would have to take in order to move forward with the recommendations that we make. So I really want us also to be unshackled and creative with our recommendations and think outside of the box, but also only by grounding them in how to get from where we are today to those recommendations. So I know I am kind of holding the mic here for a moment, but I think what I'll do is just go through a few areas that I've already thought about that I would love engineering to be prepped for in January so that they can come ready to answer some of the questions, and then I'll open it up to the rest of the commission to see if you have questions as well. So for engineering, I think just talk about capacity, kind of understand where that comes from. Yeah.
My deepest apologies. I keep saying engineering and it's not. It's Scott Drapkin from Development Services Director. I've done it to him one-on-one too. He looks like an engineer.
Perfect. So developmental services.
Scott Drapkin, he's the Director of Development Services.
It's DRAPKIN.
Mm-hmm.
And so talk a bit about capacity as is and what would need to change in order to grow that capacity, both for inside of the building and also outside. I think come prepared to talk about outdoor events, include some information on, this is indoor and outdoor actually, just what constitutes temporary. I had a very brief meeting with him, and he was talking about temporary projects that have happened in other cities that are actually, almost a year long. So I just want to clarify that as for our thought process. And then it's easiest, I think, for development to come knowing some of the ideas. So I'd say some examples for utilizing that outdoor space are an outdoor amphitheater, outdoor concerts, farmers market, art market, ticketed gala events, things like that. And then, also just please include outdoor capacity and how much of the paved campus each event could potentially utilize, just in light of the fire station being there. It's unclear to me how much of that is usable. So capacity, outdoor events, everything I kind of listed, including in that. Sales, what would it take to allow for sales to happen there? And this is me talking out of my wheelhouse, but kind of talk through the difference between commercial sales being allowed and like a gallery space for artwork being to be sold. And then room rentals, Dave, I think that's something you already got somewhat of an answer on.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to specifically talk about educational rentals for educational purposes. And the first kind of look through, but we would go deeper, was that is something that's allowed in the current permitting process.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the interpretation in the zoning was that is one thing that is allowed in the classrooms.
So for educational use. And before I move on to some prep questions for communications, does anyone else have anything they want to pipe in, just to kind of having that sense that they can come really prepared to share with us? And I'm sure I've missed some things.
I'll just mention briefly, so I know we've all been coming up with ideas, trying to come up with ideas for raising funds. And by the way, I was really glad that there seemed to be unanimity among the council members that the PVSC doesn't necessarily, they're not looking for it to break even, that they felt as though it was, very worthy institution that, will be supported. So that was gratifying. But in coming up with ideas for, raising more revenue, I feel as though I'm a little bit still unsure of what kinds of things can be done without that fall within the strictures of what the city can do. So
I think the takeaway from that joint meeting and is both that although the language on our work plan is strictly about, coming up with ideas that increase revenue, I think the real ask is for recommendations of how this place moves forward and continues to be successful and what it looks like in the years to come. And so, many council members talked about, what does it look like in a year, in 2 years, 5 years. So I would recommend that. I'd suggest broadening your vision and your understanding of what's being asked of us. And again, all we can do is make recommendations, but we can come with well-researched recommendations and provide some thoughts that they might not have thought of yet, or staff hasn't thought of yet, or whatever it is. And then as far as also, they talked about changing the zoning and changing things, and that, a lot had to happen to get the doors open, and the doors are now open. And I think the city is less timid about any problems that could be caused that in the past were more real considerations. So it doesn't mean that the right recommendation requires changing the zoning or permitting. Maybe not, but maybe it does. You are the theater guy, and so think in those terms. In fact, I would say considering outdoor events, outdoor amphitheater, bring to our next meeting, Jim, this is how something like that works. This is how it works in other cities. This is how much it costs. This is the amount of electricity you need. This is the kind of stage you need. This is, I think if people are able to really understand what all that means, and, are there theater companies that can use it? How many months a year? I'm just riffing off on the top of my head here, but I think that is where we're at. And Carla, myself, and Vicky are on the ad hoc, and so we're going to do a deep dive. But I think it's really great for everyone to be thinking in those terms and adding to it.
yeah. Well, thanks. That's a good reminder not to kind of edit ourselves in coming up with ideas for what could move the Art Center forward. So.
Yeah, and I don't mean to say bring it back to stage one and just brainstorm these crazy ideas again. But it seems like that joint meeting was really a mark in the sand of this is where we are today. Where do we want to go from here, and how do we get there? So it's not just, it would be awesome if X, Y, and Z. Great, it would be awesome if X, Y, and Z, and here's the steps you take to get there. Here's the things that need to be done with zoning. Those. I think that's where the city is at.
Well, and just as a practical matter, so is the preferred way to pass along ideas? Since there is an ad hoc, does it make sense to kind of pass them along to the ad hoc for grouping together?
We have to be careful of the Brown Act with that.
Yeah.
So I think during our meetings is the time to air those ideas. And
Okay.
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish all 7 of us could go get a glass of wine, but we can't.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that some of the big issues need to be figured out first about, the zoning and capacity and so forth, because that will determine some of the ideas, to be moved on, like, you know, for an educational purpose, you know, you have to have, be able to meet the room capacity or not to exceed it. So those are important things.
I think when I met with Scott Drapkin, he was kind of like, what do you want to do? Come with an idea, and then I can look and see and figure out how does the city achieve that. So I've been approaching it that way too, Jennifer, but I don't think that's the best way to approach it anymore. Dave, yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity. I think this is a place where we can help. So Brown Act wise, and we're asking you to come up with questions to take on to Scott. And yes, going to the ad hoc group might create an issue. That's a very good interpretation of that. But what you could do is send to me directly. And you can't CC the group. It's got to be just to me. That allows me to put them together, for us to work together and put together a list. I think that's all good.
And then would it be, you'd be able to email that list to us, or that's a list that you would present to us at a meeting?
I would bring that to the meeting, and I can also
Great.
share it with Scott. So I can prepare Scott, like, here's what we're
Great.
looking at.
Is that clear as far as those ideas? So if you have questions about zoning, permitting, development, all of those would be questions for Scott. And then Alex Saint is the new communications manager. And if you have questions for her about what's possible as far as communications, marketing, then same thing. You can share them right now. I will share a few, and then also you can email Dave and Margaret.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That sounds like a good strategy, so thank you.
So I have one potential proposal. So do I email that to you directly, or can I speak to Katie first and then email you?
Katie, you're doing that now, though, right? If you have the idea.
Yeah, so it's in the process. This is, I'm seeing there are different medical centers that are working with social prescription of art for a therapeutic end. And these are companies for profit that are doing that, working with insurance, working with physicians, working with mental health care providers. And they always need a place where art comes together. They have done something similar with the Scripps art, I believe, and also with one more similar institute downtown. And I just need specifics of what they are, how big they are, what they're associated with. But this could be a very good fit. I just want to understand who, once I get that information from them, do I share it with you or do I share it directly with him? Because this would be a partnership with a for-profit or a commercial endeavor where they would use Pacific View to generate revenue for them, but also Pacific View would generate revenue.
I think that falls in the same line. If you're part of an ad hoc, then that's part of the ad hoc conversation. If you're not part of an ad hoc for that discussion, you're welcome to send it to me, and then that can carry forward to the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
Sorry, who did you say are the members of the ad hoc again? Myself, Vicky. There are three of you. Okay.
Okay,
so
great.
we can't send it to the ad hoc?
No, because not more than 3 of us can be speaking on any particular topic at the same time.
I just had a quick question about the meeting. So I think fundraising was discussed, like a fundraising entity, like a Friends of Pacific View. Is that going to be allowed? Is that something that is like a welcome part of this potential funding plan?
I mean, we're the Commission for the Arts, and we can make any recommendations we want to make. So I think it's an absolutely fair recommendation to make. A lot of other municipal art-run centers do have a Friends of that does fundraising, and then it's just making sure that, yeah, I mean, those recommendations can go to the city, and then the city council and staff could work on those and see if it's a fit.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
oh, sure.
Well, that's interesting. All the things I was going to say changed ever since you've enlightened us about Scott, and it sounds like the playing field's wide open. And because I have been thinking, okay, let's fill in this and find out what we can do. And instead of that, we're now going to figure out what we want to do. And I've heard a lot of people saying kiln is like the hugest thing. So I don't know if there's a list. But I think we're going to want to get a list of what's going to take to make this like the spot, the cool spot where people just want to go, that pulls people in. So we know kiln, and it sounds like we need to have a consolidated place to put all of the ideas that are coming together, because instead of just repeating it. So I guess that'll be a deep dive in our ad hoc, is to figure that out. But also, I want everyone to think about what zones have been holding us back, because I was surprised to hear that capacity wasn't really one of the things that was holding it back. Now, that was in terms of what the schedule is now. And I did ask that at the joint meeting, but clearly capacity has the potential to limit. So I'd just like to ask everybody here listening to think about, was anything holding us back, and let's just blow it up so we can have a better art center and make it work for everybody. So thank you.
And I just want to make sure I'm absolutely saying that think big, and I also want to be very respectful and understand that the art center is open, it's running, it's been very successful. That council is very excited about using the years ahead to have a meeting every year and assess. So these recommendations are again can be next steps forward and long-term goals, visions. For Alex and communications, I think my questions would be about basically how do you communicate it to as particular and broad as groups as possible. So like, I know that no other city buildings or programs have their own website, but might as well ask about that. Can it have its own website, or at least its own handle that then brings it to the city website, its own social media handle, kind of explain city branding once again in case any of that is changing, and then what's possible or what ideas does she have about wayfinding from 101 to Pacific View? Yeah.
Pacific View does have its own .com that takes directly to the website, so it's pacificviewarts.com.
I love to be corrected. Thank you. That's so great. I apologize for not knowing that. Anybody else, as far as kind of like a general report that Alex Saint, the communications director, can give to us to help home our ideas?
I would just really second and endorse the signage and wayfinding, because I feel as though, and this was talked about at a previous meeting, that the property feels kind of invisible from that busy corridor, and just any way that there could be more awareness presented along there, and sending people over one block would be fantastic. So.
We have just started engaging our banners on the Pacific View outer wall, so that should hopefully draw in a few more eyes.
Are those on the north side of the building?
Oh, let me get my bearings. They're on the northeast and the northwest corner.
Mm-hmm.
So all the way along that.
Great.
Help me out here, second or third. All the way along that street, they're
Third.
on our chain link fence along there.
Okay, great. And has there been discussion about putting something up actually on the building, as far as artwork or posters or banners, or like a rotating, program that way?
It's a process, yeah, for an answer. And this is the commission to make recommendations. So currently, there is nothing on the building.
That may be a good question also for Scott, just as far as if there's anything in development that needs any process that something like that would need to go through, like what departments would that have to be touched on? Like if you wanted to install, permanent outdoor boxes to display art or whatever it is, or lighting or whatever. I'll delete that from my vocabulary. Okay. Finally, maybe we can just take, what time is it? Just have a very brief discussion if anyone has any ideas that just ping into their mind about minimum requirements for classes. So right now, Pacific View has a minimum of 4 students. Before it has to have 4 students, otherwise the class is canceled. The department is toggling that, and so now that's been adjusted a bit so that if the director can be emailed, and some of those classes then might still be held with just 2 or 3. Is that right?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll take a attempt here. So classes, they could be arts, recreation, a variety. Our minimum is 4, and that's both, it's an economic, we have independent contractors who, they're doing it to also make a little bit of money, and having less than 4 can be a financial impact. It's also some classes, we've heard this return, that some people take classes, they want to be in a class. They're not looking for a one-on-one or one-on-2. We had a very great conversation today with staff discussing classes like, hey, as an idea, if a class was 5 sessions and only 1 person signed up for it, could we ask if they'll take it as 2 classes, and you get all that information in 2 hours instead of 5. So we've had those conversations. You have the back and forth. Some of our classes are taught by staff, so the financial impact is just on the city side, not as the independent contractor. But so we've looked at that opportunity, and so in the last couple weeks, and really since going into the council meeting, we've taken the opportunity to go lower than the 4. The instruction to our staff is if it doesn't meet the minimum of 4, if it's got 3 or 2, they can send that request up to the director or the manager, and the decision can be made to go forward. And we're also looking at the ideas, and that's part of the conversation for today, and I appreciate your time, is the value of having classes when 1 person signs up, and using that more of the marketing opportunity. I got that from Deputy Mayor, was sharing that. It was a great idea, that it's not just having the class, it's not just doing the teaching, that having those classes, maybe just 1 is a marketing opportunity. So those are things we're looking at. We're not so tied to 4 that has to be the end of the line. It's just kind of what we'd like to hit. And we want to go forward. We want classes to go.
If I could expand on that, for the contract instructors, they do set their minimums. They have a business model and they run independently. So we respect and follow their minimums. So he's mainly pointing to those city run that we have a little bit more flexibility in having the smaller number.
Thank you for that clarification. Is that a standard? Like, is that a standard that the city could also set for independent contractors, as far as saying to have some consistency there, or that's just?
Sorry to because 2 recreation experience people. It is a conversation that we're saying that we'll have. So if it's less than 4, we can go to that independent contractor and ask, are they willing to work in the marketing way? It's their class too. And if they hold the class, maybe that builds on it, maybe more people come. So there could be a benefit to that independent contractor, but it still lies on the independent contractor. Their contract says 4, or whatever they agreed to. And so to go less takes the independent contractor to approve.
Makes sense. Thank you. The only other thing that I would add to the conversation is just the positive of having less canceled classes. So if it's, I mean, I think that's why the conversation happens too, so that even if if everyone is willing and okay with a one-person class or two-person class, it works for teacher, student, the city, then it's just that feeling of like you don't have the conversations going on in the community of like, oh yeah, I signed up for that class, but it got canceled. And then if you hear that a few times, then it's like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to, it's a marketing strategy in and of itself, just to be like, yes, this we advertise it, it happens, we're reliable, all those sorts of things. And then dream funder who can just say, awesome, we'll fund any classes so that any independent contractor comes, they will always meet their 5 minimum or whatever it is, right? So that's just like a way of being an independent contractor for the city very more appealing, since there's that, but I don't know.
I guess I have a couple things to say. I'm sure you guys have thought of this already, but one, kind of taking a step back and thinking about programming. I noticed, I think I noticed, and I asked about this when we were asking our questions, that the city schedules some classes and then independent contractors come in and have their classes. So it can very well be that there's an independent contractor and a city class that is running at the same time, and it's essentially the same class. And it's a beginning watercolor class or something like that, running maybe not exactly the same time, but sort of similar. I think I heard that. So kind of maybe thinking about programming ahead of time to try to kind of avoid things like that happening. And also, and again, I'm sure you guys have done this already, but also thinking about, I think I've talked to some instructors at Pacific View, and they told me there were specific times that worked well, that seemed to get people. I think Saturday mornings from 10 to 12 was one of those times, and I think like Tuesday afternoon or something. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what they were, but maybe passing those time that sort of gained information along to contract instructors as well, so that when they pitch their classes, that there's a higher likelihood of them getting people, like thinking kind of that through. And then kind of to add on to what a lot of you guys have been saying, I do think that there's harm in canceling classes because I know in other places that I've experienced, when classes get canceled a lot, people kind of just stop trying. Sometimes they've paid the money and then it takes a while to get the money back. And so it's kind of a little bit of a negative experience. So they really appreciate it running, even if it's with a few people. And as an instructor, I think then you can get pictures. Even if it's a few people, you can actually take pictures of those people doing things, and then you can use that to promote your class a little bit more, and you can get testimonials. And so it's kind of, sometimes you need to kind of build up that momentum, which I think, I guess, are all reasons to run them with smaller numbers. So I guess what you're already planning on doing, I think, is a great idea. Yeah, and I think those are my my thoughts about that.
Can I say something about that? Instructors, when they're anticipating to have a program, and then they find out that there's a low enrollment, it's a big bummer, because that really impacts their whole planning process for it, and it might to minimize a lot of cancellations, maybe a class might need a little extra time to be developed. If there is, like you said, maybe one person, maybe it might need a couple weeks to get, boosted. And there could be some other things that could be, some strategies could be used to promote this particular class, whatever it might be. So it's not a lost cause. I'm just thinking about, again, about the instructor, how much work they put into it. And if it means if somebody's going to sign up for a class later, then they can just obviously get a pro rate. and jump right in. I don't know if you offer that, prorates.
We do allow prorating, and I do want to explain too, especially for the independent contract instructors, when they submit their proposals, they're supposed to share how they plan to market their program. So the city does a certain level of marketing with the guide and everything, but we do put it on that, that private business instructor with their marketing plan, and most of them do need to provide that to us when we decide to take on their class. There's also an element of the strategy, as you had said, times, but also if there's classes that are not getting enrollment, maybe it's not a fit for the program. Maybe the community needs something more or something different. And so staff are going to work to be a little bit more strategic with your input and your help on what will roll out, and be a little bit more intentional about what they do versus, every proposal that comes in, we're going to go ahead and put that out. So that's our goal. And with your guidance and help, absolutely.
Just have one more question. I was wondering how has the city been able to branch out or reach out to the school districts? How is that? Is there I know sometimes there's like a barrier, in trying to get through, and I was just curious how y'all been able to do that.
We actually had a team meeting this morning, and there was an emphasis on that, working with Cardiff School District, Encinitas School District. All the school districts, their PTAs usually handle the arts because it's not usually in the core curriculum anymore. And so we'll be reaching out to those potential partners, going to the school sites perhaps and assisting with arts, and then inviting them to come to the center and building that bridge of this is Pacific View, this is what we have, this is what we offer.
Yay. Well done. Any other thoughts before moving on? Dave, yeah?
I'm sorry, this is a record for me for talking in different commissions, so I appreciate it. But I also believe that between the commission, staff, management, there are a lot of ideas, and they're good, and I appreciate it. Happy birthday! But also the public sharing ideas, those are great, and we need to keep them going. And so I'm also a believer in sharing my ideas. So this is the always be selling. Our brochure went out last week, and thank you, with the beautiful dog on front to advertise the dog park, but. It needs to be more than someone getting it in the mail, taking a quick look, and getting rid of it. We're hardcore with about 5% of Encinitas and using that brochure consistently. My goal as director is get that brochure and then put it somewhere. Because maybe today when you get the brochure, today is not the day that you need a class. You need to know about a special event. Take the brochure, put it away put it where you know where it is for the 3 months of the session or 3 or 4 months of the session. But there might come a time where I've got a free weekend. What could I do? Look it up. I might be interested in some kind of class. Wouldn't it be great to learn about freelance writing? Maybe I'm interested in that. Look it up in the brochure. Maybe I've always, sewing would be a great skill, or it would be fun to learn. Does the city offer it? To go and look. What's happening, though, and it happens everywhere, not just in Encinitas, many people get the brochure and then they throw it away. And then you're down to where am I going to get the information? And it's you might go to the website, what's on social media and different places, but this needs to be one of the seven things when you talk about marketing and publicity that the people are seeing and know what's in it. When you see our brochure, we want people to know that's where the class information is. There's 48 pages of class information in that brochure, and it's one tool. Please, hold on to it. And that's where everybody in the room, please share that with your neighbors and friends. This is one step forward to help us. Thank you for the time. Thanks for my sales pitch. I appreciate it.
I'm going to just...
Thank you. And what sets 48 pages of classes, that sells it right there. But in your mind, what sets the brochure apart from social media, or from I think, so many people just hop on the internet to find out what's happening, or they look on social media in those ways of what's happening this weekend, or what class do I want to take? So
The guide features events and activities. So not only, as Dave was stating, about having it on your coffee table or wherever, the Parks and Recreation Commission actually works with us to take stacks and take it to medical offices and different places throughout the community that don't have that, because people are sitting around in the waiting room, looking for what's going on or what could I do. It also should be at our resorts and hotels and places where people visit, especially over the summer. If we are featuring workshops that are one-day things, we'd want to make sure the concierge is aware of that, and they're showcasing like that this is the art gem of the community, and there's activities you can do there. That works for surf classes, it should work for art classes. So it's really kind of expanding the vision for the information in the guide. And yes, it will lead them to the site, where that information is. But like you said, some people have stated they don't want to go online, and once you look for the registration, you lose people. So that printed guide is really everything. It has trails, the parks, events, beyond the arts, but it also features those arts, which are really unique.
Oh,
Thank you for that. That's helpful.
well done.
I noticed at the PVAC there's a, no.
She doesn't know that she can't say anything, but she's getting political science credit for being here.
Can she still sign up to be a speaker for this section? But not for this. That was during open communication. This is a specific action item.
There's 2 other people who could give their time to her for an open action item. Is that possible?
You have to fill out the slip if you would like to do it that way.
Yeah.
Can I, before I forget what I was going to say, I noticed at the PVAC there's a really cool like kiosk thing, like with the information. I don't know, that just like popped in my head. I know what you're talking about, with the lovely catalog. I myself was like going through it too, because I put it to the side, and then I went on. The registration is a little bit wonky. I think some people have said that before. But what about the idea of just about throwing out ideas, like about having more of those kiosk kind of things, like in public, like in grocery store places. Because we have to be with the times in a way. We have to be high tech, and like on the 101, like between D and E, that's pretty much the central area, right? Right at the crosswalk, something like that, or a public QR code that'll tourists or whoever just be like, go over and take a picture real quick of the QR code. It'll take you directly to the site. So the old-fashioned way is great, and I'm sure those cost a lot. Those pamphlets cost a lot, but we should utilize tech as much as possible in many different ways. And I know we're already trying with like Instagram and Facebook or whatever, but just getting beyond that. I don't know if that's a communication question or not.
We're definitely hopeful with this new
Yeah.
communications manager on board. She seems to be very proactive, and I know Jess was really excited about a post that had gone out. We're very hopeful that working with her, because again, she's new, that there'll be even more posts and things like that. I know staff this morning talked about TikTok. It's a very popular platform, and the city does have a TikTok account, and so. Absolutely, you're 100% correct. I do think social media and digital is where people are at. And in the meantime, it's about having multiple platforms because the word isn't out still, so.
Have you
keep at
considered
it.
also like, I noticed that there's a permanent sign there for like the historical site of that schoolhouse, and with an arrow pointing where it's at. Could there be something like that downtown? Pacific View Arts Center with, a permanent sign with an arrow pointing, because that street, what is it, 3rd Street? Yeah, 3rd. It is in a nice place. It's a little bit out of the chaos but it can easily get lost, I guess you could say. I didn't mean to take up your time. Sorry.
If I could kind of answer that. That's a question to ask. It's a question for us to find out. It's a good suggestion. And I would say that the one thing about the brochure and the internet, we were when you went back in the day, to me it seems like 100 years ago for college, but they taught you marketing over and over and over again was 7 times. And now I've heard with social media 10, 11, that people need to see it that many times. So, you might see it on social media in 2 platforms. You might see it on a sign on the street, but then you might see the brochure too. It's just one of those 7 that we're trying to put in front of people. So, I want to use every tool that we can come up with to help drive people to try something at Pacific View.
I just wanted to make one suggestion about marketing. I think that because there, has only been a year in operation, and there was also just like a rush to get classes open and all those things, maybe it would be worth taking a little bit of time to just say, what is Pacific View as just a public campaign? What is it? Why does it exist? Kind of like going back to let's introduce this place and its purpose. I do think that then when people hear the name Pacific View, they're going to automatically associate it with the arts and what it does. I know that seems strange, being a year into it, to go back to the beginning, but so many times in marketing, that is some of the root is just that there isn't a public understanding in a general sense about a program.
I agree 100% that what it's about, why do I go there, what happens there. I think that's something that the team's working on and that could be shared and cultivated together to really determine that. And with the spring summer guide, which is our most popular and our biggest launch, we really are hoping to have that messaging built in, along with the website pacificviewartcenter.com being very predominant to people understanding.
And when does the spring go to print? What's the deadline for those discussions to have an effect for that?
I don't have it in front of me, but staff are working on it now. I would say, though, by January, the classes are being worked on, but probably in January, if you had that messaging or different things you wanted to add to it, could be possible.
The deadline for the programming is December the 18th.
Another thought, because I know I liked your idea of the signs, it could even be, because the Moonlight Beach, between the marine safety and the concession stand, are city, so it could be Pacific View Art Center just around the corner. I like the wayfinding and how you get from one point to the next, so good ideas, and I think that you just keep it flowing.
The asphalt arts is one of our items on the work plan, and it's a little bit iffy as far as what governors are being asked to do or not do. Right now, it's a little bit on pause, but as long as it's not on streets or on crosswalks, there's a lot of pavement, and there's lots of very interesting small, large things that can be done on the pavement that are huge wayfinding things, or even just to create curiosity. It doesn't even need words. It could just be dots up the street, or anyway. All of that, I think, is going to be part of our recommendation. It's already been part of some of the ad hoc discussions, and I know that a lot of times in these meetings we don't always get into specific ideas because we're trying to gather them and bring them in a more digestible form.
Chair Fox, can I introduce the next speaker? So we do have another speaker that would like to speak to agenda item 8B, work plan item number 3, generating ideas that could help generate revenue funding to contribute to Pacific View Art Center. And this speaker is Frida Turchin. Frida is receiving a time donation from Alyssa Judge. And Frida, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Hi, I'm Frida. I'm a high school student and I'm studying poli-sci. But regarding your guys' trouble with the whole getting the society to see
the Pacific view, I think like a hook is always like the very first thing that people are seeing. So like a poster around like towns and stuff is a really great idea to have like what is Pacific View and just a photo and then a QR code and then maybe like a little like hook to just get people interested. And I know for like Instagram, I follow like a bunch of things like San Diego, like what to do in San Diego. So maybe there should be like an Instagram like what to do in Encinitas and then maybe have one about the Pacific View, because just like generating that like curiosity and then getting the hook and having just an image and being like, this is where you can go and do the art program. This is where you can go do the pottery classes that you've been wanting to do for forever. Now it's very like, that's how you're gonna get the next generation, and especially because pottery is like super in right now. Everyone's looking for a good like place to go and have a good community aspect to it, and that seems like what you guys are trying to approach with. So that seems like a very good idea. And then just posters are always like, everyone walks around in Encinitas. Like I come over here from La Jolla, and I walk around with my friends, and I love looking at everything. It's very beautiful. So just having those posters that really capture the eye is a really good idea. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's all valuable and so great to have that input, especially from that age group. So,
One last thing I just want to say on that note, it just occurred to me, like, has the city looked into like some kind of infomercial type of thing? You know, you've already had the classes. You've had the last year's season. You probably have some good documentation and of some classes in action. And I mean, have you considered like doing something like that? I don't know how expensive that could be, but to have something on TV, you know, just saying, just asking.
okay.
When I was discussing a project that was similar with Maricosta College many years ago, we were talking about like a geolocation map, and I know there's all sorts of location software, but I mean the bandwidth, it's the cost, right? So I'm just asking if we could structure something. Are there any art staff that have hours that would be interested in building something that's super fun, great for portfolio? You could send it to the really popular Instagram sites that are all over, and we have a lot of people engaging with Instagram. So if you can just get one post and then get that out there, that's an opportunity. But even if you have people that are more tech savvy, they might be able to build a cool little app that would take people into each classroom. And this could almost be paired with the programming of some of the coursework that's offered at Pacific View. You could say, okay, it's a promotion class, and the model is we're promoting Pacific View today. We're going to learn how to market this as an art center, and then get the student work to kind of use that. And if it's great, then use it as a real life model for their portfolios. So that's an idea.
Okay, thanks. I think we'll move on to the next action item, and on to C. For the recommended goals and policies for the general plan, I think we're just going to keep working on it and move forward. We had discussed earlier about setting potentially a special meeting in January, or devoting our January meeting to the policy side of that for a public workshop. Given the joint meeting and given the time frame for our recommendations for Pacific View, I suggest we just keep working on that, and that will be part of our 2026 work plan. So I do have I think that just leave it at that. And then moving on to 8B3, Dave, do you have something to share about Cardiff 101 or conversations?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So just to share in the discussion, and we can go forward with it. one of the questions on the donation of the sculpture from Deanna Sabek is that taking it as a donation, does it stay where it is? And if it does stay where it is, then where is another location in the Cardiff area so that every area is part of the sculpture loan program? And just, it's early part of the conversation. It's not a fact and not where we're going. But, you know, Cardiff 101 is working on a sculpture for the Harborough Parkway area, and that just an early conversation is, instead of a full set sculpture there, is it possible maybe that's a location for the loan program? And that's something that I can follow up on and see if there's is that really Cardiff 101 interest? And if it is there some feedback that we can get, like in a survey through them, to share if that's something the people in the area want or not? And I would gladly do that.
I think that would be great. I think, yeah, that's awesome and it's exciting and it's a cool area. And I think letting that conversation blossom more and finding more information before we move forward with any sort of receiving more public input. You know, we've heard already that the public loves that sculpture. We've already said that we recommend the acceptance of it. We also came to a consensus at last meeting that we all really want the sculpture loan program, that pedestal is part of the sculpture loan program. And so if it's being considered to stay there, then another location, our recommendation is that another location be identified and a pad built for it. So yeah, I think just give us an update next month on that, and then we can move forward. And then for the tourism board, Jim wasn't able to go, and so I attended, and so I'll just give a quick update on that as well. Some sponsorship. Nicole White from the Parks and Recs department has put together or begun putting together a sponsorship program. Dave, do you want to give an update on that for sponsorship for Pacific View?
My update's somewhat short. It is a goal of the department and the city to connect on a scholarship, or not scholarship program, but a sponsorship program. And Pacific View is a good location for that. Council talked about connecting to rooms and sponsors and events. And Nicole has done a good job of putting together a starting packet. So we're at the starting line, more work to do, but that's definitely a goal in the coming year to have a program out in the community. So for those that want to donate or want to be a sponsor, we'll have a program in place for that to happen.
Fantastic. I just ask that we stay updated on that so that we can help facilitate that moving forward. And then a brief discussion occurred about La Paloma movie theater, just about the historical and cultural significance of the theater and what the city could do to potentially incentivize its preservation as it approaches its 100th year anniversary. So that theater is privately owned, but it's a conversation that the city is having about what they could possibly do to help incentivize it. And then there is an art placement subcommittee that Councilmember O'Hara formed in October. And Jim, you're on that, although it doesn't sound like there's been a lot of movement on that. I think that was just formed to come up with a list of potential locations that public art could be placed. And yeah, obviously the commission should play a role in that too, considering the public art policy.
Yeah, just briefly, I think it started with Councilman O'Hara's idea of having a mural at the golf course. And so at an earlier meeting, there was some discussion. I brought up the fact that, you know, under the city policy, the proposals should come before the Arts Commission at some point. And there hasn't been as far as I know, much further action or talk on that. There was one meeting that I wasn't able to make it to because I was at work. So, and I actually just got an email before this meeting that the next cultural tourism meeting is canceled, the one that was happening later this week. So that seems the subcommittee might kind of be in limbo or on hiatus for the time being, but I'll see what I can find out about that and if there's been any more discussion on that.
Thank you. Are there any other updates from any other ad hocs? Oh, okay. So we will move on to informational items. Number 9A, the Cultural Arts Division report.
Hello.
Hello, Jess.
So most of this will roll into the calendar, so I might just run down the calendar and share the report as we go, if that's okay with everybody. So winter registration opened today. Classes are available to sign up for online and with our brochure. So that was very exciting. We have the holiday parade coming this weekend, which we discussed earlier, which is really exciting. Wednesdays at noon, concerts continue through December. We'll be closed for the holidays and there'll be no concerts December 24th and 31st. Nutcracker is coming up and it is sold out for both concerts, both performances, which is really great. Sayat and the Encinitas Ballet always do an incredible job. Pacific View Arts Centre has an open house coming up on December the 18th. We are going to focus on the holidays. That will be free to everybody that cares to come along. There'll be some activities to join in. And then what else to share with you? We still are running Pacific View sessions. This week we have Emily Afton. She will be performing on Thursday. So if anybody wants to watch that, you can see it next week. We have an exciting poetry program coming on board. That will start in January at the community library, at the community room in the library. There'll be more information to share on that when we have it all finalised. And then we have Music by the Sea concerts. The passes are on sale. They're discounted until December the 31st. So please buy one for your family member for Christmas. After that, all the concerts will be sold individually and they'll be running January through June. And I think that's everything. Thanks.
So good. So much and yeah, so many great things. Okay, and then 9C, department updates. Margaret Hamer.
Manager Hamer here. I think what's a great opportunity that I'm finding is integrating recreation more with cultural arts. And I'm not sure if you're aware of our age-friendly initiative that we've held. We had a massive survey with over 1,100 people responding. And one thing I just wanted to share with you as a commission is when we asked what types of activities do you want more of, number 1 was concerts, live music and/or theater. Number 3 was art and creative classes and/or workshops. So that was over 500 people, over 600 for the concerts. 1,200 people in the survey responded, the arts and performing arts and fine arts. So I just think that we know there's the hunger and taste for it. We just need to really connect everybody. I know schools are a big initiative. I know you brought that up, and that's something that needs to get worked on. We had San Diego Academy contact us. They have a club called a crochet club for the high school students, which that's coming back and very popular as well. But they're like, we want to offer a free workshop that we come with all the supplies, and they want to call it Hooked on Joy. So that's something that's going to happen in December. It's a Friday, so it's not a Pacific View, but we're going to see if they want to keep implementing more of that, and we would bring it to the Pacific View Arts Center, and maybe that could grow into another program. So we'll be working with the high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools to try to connect. And I know this adults 50 plus category is something that needs to grow more. I hear from our audience member here that this is something that's important to them. And I think you'd have a very robust audience of our adults 50 plus because they have the means and more time and resources to not only help support the center, but to engage in the activities and the social connections that really benefit everybody of all ages. So we're excited excited about cross-pollinating recreation and cultural arts where it's appropriate, our centers, and working together. So I wanted to tell you about the Hooked on Joy. We also will be putting out a constant contact on some of these December classes. We have a free freelance writing class, which is December 13th. That's a class we don't want to have canceled. So if you know anybody who's interested in writing or is curious, it's December 13th, and we'll be promoting that along with all our other programs. But we hear you about the cancellation of classes, and I think that's going to be a goal of not canceling classes and avoid it as much as we can. So thank you for all your valuable input to this evening, and so many of them were shared by staff this morning. So it's so great that there's many brains thinking alike, as well as what the public shared. Many of those items we talked about this morning already. So it seems like people are on track, and with that energy and synergy together, we should really be able to have a robust spring and summer.
Fantastic. Thank you. And number 10, commissioner member initiated items. I think
There are none.
And any future agenda items? Adam.
Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is the way to go about it, but there was an idea about environmental awards being made by local artists, and so sort of a cross collaboration of commissions. Is that something that would be appropriate to put on a future agenda for discussion?
See the green? Yes, Dave.
Yes, we've had conversations with sustainability. If we had connected in a timely way, we would have pursued it for tonight agenda. Definitely something we'll have conversations with for the future.
Okay.
If you could do a future agenda initiated item if you'd like to bring a report to another meeting or have it be a topic, or just wait till it comes onto the agenda naturally.
I can just wait for it to be on the agenda since it's already in motion.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
All right, so we'll move on to item 12, commissioner reports. Does anyone have any?
Can I jump in quickly? Because I was talking about the parade earlier and then realized that this great flyer that Jamie passed around has tons of information in it, and maps and everything else, and instructions not to dress as Santa Claus because there's only one Santa Claus. So, so everything you want to know, I didn't have a chance to look at that before we start talking. I just want to add also about the mural project that we mentioned, that even though there may be some uncertainty about that particular idea, the enthusiasm is great, and whether the ideas are coming from the council or elsewhere in the city, it's really appreciated. That kind of engagement is always great. So, thank you.
Yeah, I think we'll just call it. I saw some great art shows, but I think I'll wait to share more. So that was amazing. We are done at 6:31. And I wish you all a very happy and healthy holiday season, and see you on Saturday for the parade, and we'll see you in January.